My aunt told the police I abused my grandmother so she could be named her sole caretaker. I was banned from visiting her. My grandmother's health declined fast. One day, she slipped a note to a nurse. It was one sentence, and it changed everything. I filed a petition. In court, I read that note out loud. My aunt screamed, but the judge held up his hand and said, "I never wanted anything but to take care of my grandma. I grew up in Springfield, Illinois, raised by a single mom and my grandma, Lela. My mom passed away when I was 15. After that, grandma was my whole world. She was the one who held me when I cried, told me I was enough, and made sure I got through high school with food in my belly and a warm bed at night. She was more than family. She was my safe place. I moved back into her house when I finished community college. She was getting older, slower on her feet. She had a few falls in the kitchen, forgot things more often. I started helping with her meds, doctor visits, grocery shopping. Nothing too intense, just little things. It felt natural. We laughed a lot in that house. I felt proud being the one she trusted. Then Brenda showed up. Brenda's my aunt, my mom's only sister. She never really stuck around. She lived up in Chicago with her second husband, rarely called. Only visited when it made her look good, Christmas, birthdays, family funerals. Grandma never spoke badly of her, but you could tell there was tension. Brenda always talked over people. She was the kind of woman who'd show up to a funeral in a white dress and expect applause for the flowers she brought. She came down one weekend out of nowhere. Said she was checking in on Grandma. At first, it was okay. She brought some groceries, sat on the couch, pretended to be helpful. But then she started criticizing the house, too dusty. She didn't like the brand of cereal in the pantry. She made digs at me, too. Asked if I had a real job yet. If I was still playing nurse. It wasn't even subtle. She wanted control. And soon, she found a way to get it. She started telling Grandma that I was too young to be responsible for someone so delicate. She told her I was missing doses on her meds, even though I had a damn binder tracking every pill and every appointment. She said the house needed real help, like from a state-licensed agency. That it wasn't safe. And Grandma, God, she was starting to forget more. She didn't always push back. Then one afternoon, everything changed. I came home to 2 police officers on the porch. They said they had reports of elder neglect. That Grandma had been found without her meds. That I wasn't feeding her properly. My stomach dropped. Brenda was inside, talking to Grandma like nothing was wrong. I got removed from the house that night. They didn't arrest me, but I was told not to come back. A judge issued an emergency order banning me from contact. I didn't even get to say goodbye to her. Brenda took over everything. The house. Grandma's care. Her finances. The caregivers I'd hired were replaced with some private service Brenda found. I knew she had money, but now she had Grandma's too. I could feel everything slipping. Over the next few weeks, I got updates through people who still cared, some neighbors, a couple of my grandma's friends from church. They said Grandma looked worse. She was losing weight. Her voice was quieter. She stopped asking about things she used to love. I felt helpless. Useless. Then I found Maria. Maria was a nurse at a nearby facility where Grandma had a checkup scheduled. I reached out, explained everything, begged her to keep an eye out for anything strange. She agreed. Said she believed something was off too. 1 week later, Maria called me. Said Grandma had passed her a note during a bathroom visit. Grandma had hidden it in her sleeve. It was short, only one sentence: I love my grandchild. Brenda is lying. That was all I needed. Maria gave me the note in the hospital parking lot. She was shaking when she handed it to me. I don't want to get involved legally, she said, but someone had to help her. The paper was folded in half, edges crumpled like it had been gripped tight. I opened it slowly. I love my grandchild. Brenda is lying. It wasn't even full sentences. But it didn't have to be. I cried in my car for 10 minutes. That same day, I drove straight to the courthouse. My lawyer, Mason, had already been gathering documents, texts, bank statements, photos of bruises on Grandma's arms from when she was left alone too long. But this note? It changed everything. We filed for an emergency petition. We submitted the note, along with a sworn statement from Maria, no names, no direct accusations, just a record of what Grandma said. Mason warned me, it's going to get messy. Be ready. 2 days later, we got a court date. Brenda must have found out. She called me that night for the first time in weeks. You're destroying this family, she hissed. Grandma doesn't know what she's saying. That woman you sent is a fraud. You think you're helping her? You're just making her more confused. I didn't say anything. I let her scream until she hung up. The morning of the hearing, I saw Brenda walking into the courthouse like she was headed to brunch. She wore a bright blue pantsuit, hair done like she was going on TV. She even smiled at the reporters outside, like she wanted them to ask for a statement. Inside, things shifted fast. Mason stood, showed the court Grandma's note. He read it slowly. Then he brought up a timeline of everything that happened, Brenda's sudden appearance, the allegations against me, the no-contact order, the worsening of Grandma's health after I was banned. He played voicemails from neighbors who noticed changes in Grandma. Some said she seemed scared. Some said she cried when they brought up my name. Then the twist came. A financial investigator we'd hired reviewed Grandma's bank statements. In 3 weeks, Brenda had withdrawn over $14,000. Most of it went to a wellness spa in downtown Chicago. Another chunk? Transferred to a savings account in Brenda's name. Mason slid the documents across the table. Brenda went pale. Then she snapped. She stood up mid-hearing and shouted, "You don't understand. He was always manipulating her. I did what I had to do. That old woman doesn't even know where she is half the time." The judge stared at her. "Sit down, Ms. Marks." She froze. The courtroom was silent. We hadn't even gotten to the worst part. There were security camera screenshots. From the in-home cameras I'd forgotten we had installed 6 months ago. Still synced to my cloud. One image showed Grandma in her chair, struggling to stand, no caregiver in sight. Another showed Brenda taking Grandma's wallet from her purse. The courtroom shifted. Even Brenda's own attorney looked uncomfortable. Still, the judge hadn't ruled. He said we'd continue the hearing in 2 days to give Brenda's side time to respond. That night, I went to visit Grandma under a temporary supervised order. She was thinner. Quieter. But when she saw me, she whispered, "I knew you'd come." That was the first time I let myself believe things might change. 2 days before the final hearing, things got strange. I started getting calls from unfamiliar numbers. One voicemail was from someone claiming to be from the Department of Elder Affairs, saying I needed to reschedule an inspection. But no one from that department had ever contacted me directly before. Then I noticed something even worse, my car had been keyed in the courthouse parking lot. The word thief scratched deep into the driver's side. I knew Brenda was getting desperate. Then Mason called me. "You need to see this," he said. He forwarded me an anonymous tip. Someone had emailed court officials alleging I had been forging Grandma's signature for years to take her Social Security checks. It was complete garbage. I never touched those accounts. But it forced the judge to delay the ruling another week to fully investigate both claims. I was furious. Brenda had filed a counter-petition accusing me of financial elder abuse, claiming I'd used Grandma's name to open 2 credit cards in my name. It would have been laughable if it weren't so dangerous. The judge now had to look at both of us as potential abusers. But then something unexpected happened. Maria, the nurse who had helped us, got a visit at her apartment. A woman claiming to be a health board auditor questioned her about the care she'd given Grandma and whether she was coached to extract that note. Maria called me, terrified. She had no badge. No ID. Just a folder. I asked her to leave and she threatened to report me for misconduct. Mason didn't hesitate. He filed a harassment claim and subpoenaed security footage from the building. Sure enough, the woman was caught on camera. We submitted that to the judge. 3 days later, the judge called both parties in for an emergency conference. "Ms. Marks," he said to Brenda, "this court takes interference and intimidation very seriously. Your actions toward a sworn witness could constitute obstruction." Brenda went silent. Her attorney looked like he wanted to melt into the floor. That same night, I got a call from Brenda's stepdaughter. We hadn't spoken in years. She told me Brenda had tried to convince her to write a letter to the court saying I was violent when I was younger. She refused. But her words hit me hard. She said she was going to win no matter what. She didn't care what it took. And that's when I knew, Brenda had been preparing this for a long time. Maybe even before Grandma's memory started to fade. Now it wasn't just about Grandma's health or my name. It was about stopping someone who would lie, cheat, and destroy to stay in control. The final hearing was coming up. The courtroom would be packed. The courtroom was packed for the final hearing. 2 news reporters waited outside the door, cameras ready. Word had gotten out about the elder abuse claims, the financial fraud, and the strange twists in the case. My stomach was in knots. I sat next to Mason, flipping through the folder of evidence again even though I already knew every page by heart. Brenda walked in wearing all black, like she was the one who had been wronged. Her lawyer didn't even try to make eye contact with me. That told me everything I needed to know. The judge came in and got straight to it. He opened by summarizing both sides. Brenda's claim that I had abused Grandma and mishandled her money, and my counterclaim that Brenda had lied to gain control and had been exploiting Grandma financially and emotionally. Then, he dropped the first bombshell. Our independent investigation into the financial records submitted by Ms. Marks confirms that over $18,000 of Mrs. Lela Marks' funds were transferred to Ms. Brenda Marks' personal accounts for non-medical, non-household purposes, including but not limited to personal beauty treatments, airfare to Cancun, and jewelry purchases. Brenda's lawyer tried to object. The judge shut him down. Then he continued. We also received testimony from 6 neighbors and 2 caregivers describing significant decline in Mrs. Marks' health after she was cut off from her grandson. One described her as confused and constantly asking for him. The nurse who received the handwritten note, Ms. Maria Santiago, was subject to a false impersonation attempt. Video surveillance supports this harassment. Brenda shifted in her seat. Her jaw clenched. I stared straight ahead, silent. And finally, the judge said, holding up a printed sheet, the note from Mrs. Marks, which reads, I love my grandchild. Brenda is lying. This court finds it authentic, both by handwriting analysis and corroborated behavior. Then he looked right at Brenda. Ms. Marks, you made false accusations to remove a family member from the home. You misused power of attorney. You attempted to influence witnesses. You attempted to frame someone who had cared for your mother every day, with no pay, no thanks, just love. He paused. Then spoke the words I'll never forget. I am granting full legal guardianship to the petitioner. Effective immediately, you are to vacate the premises within 72 hours. You are barred from accessing Mrs. Marks' accounts, medical records, or place of residence. A criminal investigation into financial elder abuse is now open against you, and subpoenas will be issued. Brenda stood up, shouting, This is garbage. He brainwashed her. She doesn't know what she's saying. The judge slammed his gavel. Sit down or you will be held in contempt. She sat. For the first time, she looked afraid. As for me, I was granted full access back into Grandma's life. I walked into her room that evening, told her it was over. She smiled, held my hand, and whispered, I told you I remembered the truth. Over the next few weeks, things moved fast. Brenda was charged with felony financial exploitation of an elderly person. She lost her job as an insurance rep in Chicago. Her second husband filed for divorce. Her bank accounts were frozen, her social reputation destroyed. But that wasn't even the most satisfying part. The house? Grandma's house? Brenda had tried to sell it behind everyone's back before the court ruling. Turns out, she forged Grandma's signature on a property transfer document. So the court nullified it and ordered her to pay restitution. The new title was rewritten under my name, with one condition: I keep Grandma there, safe and cared for, until her final days. And I did. I installed cameras in every hallway. Hired real caregivers. Cooked her favorite meals. Every Sunday, we watched black and white movies on the old TV set she loved. She passed away 10 months later. Peacefully. In her sleep. Holding my hand. She left me everything: house, savings, and a letter. It said, "You stayed. That's all that matters." I still drive by the courthouse sometimes. Just to remind myself, love wins. Truth wins. And even when lies feel stronger, all it takes is one person who refuses to give up. That was me. And I'd do it all over again.